Eric, I got to give you some homework. I want you to go when you get a chance. I know you got some flights coming up. Go watch Triple Mania. I think you're going to love this. The presentation is cool, and just giving talent who may be lost in the shuffle in the really loaded WWE roster of 2025. Like, I don't know if you saw even a clip of this, but just the visual of Omos and Microman accumulated in the first 48 hours well over 100 million impressions. So this is the largest wrestler in WWE, 7'4", and the newly signed Microman, clearly the smallest. I mean, Swoggle makes Swoggle look like Andre the Giant. And I mean, that's me with a bag of ice every time I have a get together. I mean, this is an unbelievable visual, and just the way they used the iguana puppet, which I know you're going to love with Mystery Iguana. He's going to wrestle with Finn Balor, and he breaks out a demon puppet, which, by the way, is now selling for $100. Like, there was something for everybody on this card, and I had a blast watching it. I watched it with casual and maybe non-fans, and they had a blast. So I hope you'll go check it out. It is interesting to think that, people who once upon a time were dumping on Eric Bischoff, now all of a sudden they love Lucha Libre, and I can't help but think, who really put that on TV in America the first time? Oh yeah, that was my buddy Eric.
Yeah, it was fun, Conrad. I was up. I'm doing this from inside my house because my computer out of my studio just wasn't kicking in, right? So while I was in the studio this morning trying to get my computer to work, I'm looking up at that big oil painting of Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash and, of course, Mean Gene Okerlund from that moment right after the big leg drop in '96. Hogan turns heel and he's about ready to announce or introduce the New World Order. So you were so kind to get an oil painting of that from Paint Your Life, as a matter of fact. And it's looking right at me when I sit down to record. And I was just thinking to myself, that moment, in my opinion, and this isn't putting myself over, it just is what it is. That moment, that decision, that story, more than anything, that moment absolutely is responsible in no small part to the success that the entire industry is enjoying today.
Yes.
That one moment forced WWE to abandon their decades-old strategy, creative strategy, business strategy, specifically targeting teens and preteens. That moment with Hulk Hogan dead center changed the wrestling industry forever. Had it not been for that moment, and had WWE, Vince McMahon being the stubborn businessman that we all know him to be from time to time, would have stayed on the teen and preteen path because it's the only thing he knew. It's the only thing he believed in. I forced him to shift his strategy, go to 18 to 49-year-old men, and shortly thereafter, he took over that audience and went public, and the rest is history. And you can follow that trajectory, that timeline as far back as you want, but if you put any granularity to it, that moment that I just described was the biggest contributor to the success of WWE. Ultimately, as a result of the force from teens to 18 to 49s, that moment was one of the most important things. The second most important thing that we did on Nitro, and it's a we, that we did on Nitro, is introduce for the very first time on a national platform in prime time, and not only exposed and utilized and the luchadors, but we created an entire division for them. And that exposure is why Rey Mysterio, Dom Mysterio, so many of the luchadors that we're seeing today, they're benefiting from that. And if anybody, Dave Meltzer, has a hard time wrapping their head around that, there's nothing I can say to help you, or anybody else for that matter.
Let's talk a little bit about the other news and notes in professional wrestling. This weekend is the New Japan pay-per-view. It's AEW working with New Japan. It's called Forbidden Door. Didn't somebody else who had a show on TBS and Turner once do stuff with New Japan too? It's weird. Nothing's coming to mind. Hey, this is a big deal this weekend. I don't know if you've seen the news, but it's great news for professional wrestling as a whole. They've already secured the 4th largest non-WWE gate in history. It's going to be a total sellout. WrestleTix just a few days ago tweeted there were around 200 tickets left. But with pricing the way it is, and by the way, AEW tickets are a fraction of what WWE price tickets have been lately, but it's still the 4th largest non-WWE gate in history. This is a great time for the wrestling business. It feels like everywhere we look, there's more success to tout. Record Triple Mania this past weekend. Another record this weekend with AEW and New Japan. It's a great time to be in the wrestling business, isn't it, Eric?
In many ways it is. You know, the UK has been consistently one of the hottest markets for big live events, perhaps in the world. I mean, if you look at the number of big events, everybody that goes there does well. Maybe that's my point. Probably not accurate on the statistics because I don't track it. But it seems like every time we turn around, somebody is going to the UK and selling out, and particularly AEW and obviously WWE. But the independent scene has been hot in the UK as far back. One of the first times that I went there as part of an independent event, in fact, Drew McIntyre was there. So, you know, it was a good 10 years ago. And it was hot then. So, yeah, it's a great time to be in the wrestling business, whether you're an independent promoter or at the top of the mountain, so to speak.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama. What could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
That's number 212 non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.